Good evening. This video I'll be talking about some World War II weapons from the World War II era. I'm going to start with the smallest, obviously. The pistol, or if you're British, the revolver, strike or automatic, because Americans refer to both of those as a pistol. It's simplistic. The standard automatic, the Germans didn't use revolvers for a very long time, so they didn't have any during World War II. Anyway, so the standard automatic issued to tankers, Luftwaffe crews and officers was the WW2 that was they used a 9mm round, standard round. This was also used during the First World War, and is still used today. The WW2 was accepted in the German military, as you may be able to guess, in 1938. However, it didn't enter production until late 1939. Until then, they had been using the other automatic I want to talk about today, the Luger P08. The P08 was designed before World War I, in 1908. Makes sense. It's a limited use by some officers in World War II, and it's a collector's piece now, and even for Allied troops liberating Europe then. Next category I want to talk about is the submachine gun. Now perhaps I should talk about the history of the submachine gun first. As World War I evolved into a bloody stalemate, the need for a small portable source of firepower was necessary. There were many prototypes such as the Hellriegel M1915 designed by Steyr that was meant to fire the 9x23 Steyr cartridge. Only one prototype was created, however. It didn't saw any use. The first submachine gun to enter large production was the M30, designed by Hugh Schmeisser and issued to stormtroopers in 1918. A lot of people are confused as to why submachine gun use pistol rounds. Surely a rifle would have more punch, wouldn't it? But if you have a weapon firing rifle rounds at something like 500 to 600 rounds per minute, the recoil would be truly uncontrollable. Basically, when a bullet is fired, an equal force is exerted on the opposite end. Newton's law of motion, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the bigger the round, the larger the force pushing it out. Now that gives it more power, that's why bolt-action rifles are usually so powerful. But the more force pushing the bullet out of the muzzle, the more force being pushed back towards the user. So designers had to make the compromise of more powerful but smaller bullets, and they went with pistol rounds. The MP-18 fired 9mm round, for example. Alright, what was I talking about? Alright, German submachine guns. So the standard submachine gun, or Maschinenpistole in German, was the MP-40, which was an improvement to the previous MP-38, but they were larger, the same with the exception of cheaper parts of the MP-40. Obviously, it fired the standard 9mm cartridge at a rate of fire of 550 rounds per minute, so not very fast, but not very slow. Later, the MP-41 was introduced, but it wasn't very popular. The new one, the stock one, the MP-41 was very uncomfortable to hold, and obviously you couldn't fold it, unlike the wire stock on the MP-40. Alright, so I talk about the submachine guns, now the rifles. The standard infantryman bolt-action rifle was the K98K, or the Karabiner 98K. The K stands for kurz, meaning short, because it was a shorter version of the Gewehr 98, which was in use until the German rearmament of 1935. It fired the powerful 790x7 rifle cartridge. Towards the end of the war, the self-loading Gewehr 43, later named the Karabiner 43, was issued to Panzergrenadier units mainly. They were issued to some regular infantry units, but mostly Panzergrenadier. It was designed to fire 10 rounds at 30 rounds per minute, and it was reloaded using standard 5 Mauser clips. 402,000 were produced from 1943 to 1945. Now the paratroopers were issued from 1942 onwards at least, with the Select Fire FG-42, which stands for Fallschirmjäger 42. Fallschirmjäger meaning paratrooper, and Gewehr meaning rifle, so paratrooper rifle 42. It also fired the 792 by 7 Mauser cartridge, but it has a bipod to help diminish the recoil. Most rifles were equipped with a scope to be used for long-range engagement. The practical rate of fire was 250 rounds per minute, but the early versions could go up to 900 rounds per minute, and the later versions up to 750. Such rate of fire made it impossible to hip-fire it. Well, I say impossible. There are some stories of hip-firing FG-42s, but they are quite rare. Only around 7,000 were produced, and so never became standard. Sometimes used as a section machine gun. Speaking of section machine guns, awesome segue. Germany produced two models for infantry use, the MG34, which fired the 792x7 Mauser bullets at 800 to 900 rounds per minute, which is more than enough. 577,000 were produced from 1934 to 1945, and some versions had A8 sights for use as tail guns on bombers. Each unit was quite expensive, coming in at 312 Reichsmarks, or about 1,020 euros. The German economy during the war wasn't doing so well, so they had to come up with a cheaper section machine gun with a better rate of fire for defensive use. They came up with the infamous MG42. the machine gun 42. Official news from 1943, weirdly enough, it fired the 7.92 Mauser at rounds at a whopping 1,300 rounds per minute. That's insane. And stamp parts meant it was quite a bit cheaper to produce a single unit, coming in at about 250 Reichmarks or 850 euro. Now I say it fired at 1,300 rounds per minute. It had only an automatic function, so it wasn't a select fire, but it was more practical to use as a burst fire. So you would give one burst over there and one burst over there, another one over there. Those riflemen are unsuppressed, so another one over there, and they would be put over a wide area with overlapping fields of fire, so they could cover a much larger area. Makes sense. It was loaded by feeding it with a 250 round bat or a 50 round magazine to be more portable. Now the special weapons, the STG-44 or MP-44, yeah, interchangeable, stands for Sturmgewehr 44 or a machine pistol 44. That literally means assault rifle. It is considered the granddaddy of all assault rifles, even though I say that's the federal mother. Mikhail Kalashnikov, who created the AK rifles, took inspiration from the STG-44 when designing the AK-47. They was very late in the war to really make a difference. However, they were used in Korea and Vietnam in pretty small numbers. Now, assault rifles don't fire pistol rounds, as you might know. They don't fire rifle rounds either. They have an intermediate cartridge. In this case, it's a 7.92 by 33mm Kurz round. It's intended to make the rifle controllable to fire, but also moderately powerful. They fired at 500 to 600 rounds per minute, and some were equipped with long-range scopes, and very few at the end of the war with a terrifying thing about night vision sights. But the end of the war ended soon enough for these not to be used. Now, the M30 Luftwaffe drilling. This was a weird self-defense shotgun issued to Luftwaffe crews that had the strange feature of 3 barrels. The barrel on the left would be unchopped to fire slug rounds, the one on the right would fire standard shot shells, and the barrel at the bottom would fire a strength cartridge of 9.3 by 74mm. They were weird. They were produced in 1941 and 1942 and were mainly used in North Africa. They would be stored in parts in a box at the backside of the cockpit. By 1943, the Luftwaffe was basically gone, so there's no need to keep producing them. You could switch between fired at 12-gauge shells and the rifle rounds by flicking a lever on the back of the frame. So that rounds all the weapons I could think of at the moment when I wrote script 2 days ago. Press the like button and subscribe if you want me to ramble about another country's World War II weapons. I will do in that anyway, but if I get good feedback on this video, I'll upload it easier because people have motivation to watch it. This is it for this video. Cheerio.